salvage expert. These guys were featured on the History Channel show Billion Dollar Wrecks to salvage the wreck of the RMS Republic with billions in expected treasure. This is gold-backed numismatic fund created by the Maritime Recovery Fund. Gentlemen, take it away. There you go.
Thank you. I'm Grant Bayerly. My father, Martin Bayerly, right here, the pirate-looking fellow with the eye patch. So I need a. Do I have a clicker? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, just to kind of give a very brief background into what we're working with here. In January 1909, the RMS Republic, which is the ship you see here, was leaving New York to go to the Mediterranean. It had a couple cargoes on board. One was a payroll shipment to the U.S. Navy, and another was a closing gold coins for a major Russian loan. However, as you can guess, she didn't quite make it there. She left New York about 18 hours out. She hit an enormous dense fog bank, and she was actually in a major collision with an incoming vessel from Italy that was way off course. Republic was T-boned, and there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of chaos, but they didn't think she was going to sink at first. So the passengers, unlike Titanic, which everybody knows, the passengers were shuttled multiple times to other vessels that came to her assistance, and then she stayed afloat for about 39 hours. And they were actually towing her back to the coast for repairs when she sank. So she went down with all the first class passenger baggage on board. She sank with all her cargo on board as well. So she sank about 50 miles south of Nantucket, Massachusetts, in about 270 feet of water. So at the time, she was beyond salvage. Everybody considered it a total loss. The shipping company owned by J.P. Morgan even wrote it off. So that kind of leads us to where we are today. Try to get this figured out. So there's another picture of Republic at sea, and basically that's why we're here. She went down with a reported $25.8 million 1909 value in gold. We did have a series. There's some little screenshots of running an ROV over the wreck. It gives you kind of the current condition, but how the big question was, okay, so we know how to get the gold. What do we do with it afterwards? And so we're establishing Abundantia LP, which is structured as the first numismatic hedge fund, essentially.
V stands for remotely operated.
So,
for the most part, it's a remotely operated underwater island.
We got a couple of little videos
an unlimited
here,
amount of
but so I don't need to go into detail about the current gold market. It's pretty self-explanatory what we're trying to do to get down there and pull up the gold. One moment. So what we have lined up for summer 2026, we're going to launch a major recovery effort. We don't actually own our own equipment. We're contracting that out to an international reputable salvage company, Resolve Marine. They're based out of Fort Lauderdale. We're going to use their equipment, their ROVs, their intelligence, and we have a contract with them to clear out a section of the ship, our target area where this cargo is. And a lot of people think that why don't you just cut in the side and squirrel around and then reach the strong room or the gold room of the ship. But everything's collapsed. I don't know if anybody's watched a Titanic documentary recently, but these ships aren't meant to survive at the bottom of the ocean. So the decks have all collapsed, and it's a effort of removing multiple thousands of tons of debris, 50 miles offshore in the North Atlantic. We're limited to the weather window of generally the summer months. Oh, sorry, I guess I went backwards on here. I have our salvage expert, Bass Copes here, and I'll get to some of the equipment that we have and are going to utilize for this ship. I know we have videos here. I'm trying to I can spend hours talking about this project. We're just going to skim through those. There is a History Channel series. We also have a book out. If you love history and you love research, you can do a very deep dive into where we're going on this. But the key is the equipment. And up until the 1960s, 70s, this was completely off the mark, impossible to have any real crack at recovering the gold. Now with modern day imaging technology, with ROVs, we don't even need to get that in the water. So we actually, since 2011, we were awarded legal title to the vessel from the Federal District Court in Boston. So a lot has happened since 2011. We put out the book, the TV series, and now we're preparing for the final recovery expedition here. I don't need to tell you about the value of gold, which has more than doubled the value of our cargo, essentially. These are the participation opportunities, essentially. There's 3 vehicles for investment. Abundantia LP, which is the hedge fund structure, LP general partner arrangement, $1 million investment. If we have a full recovery, you're looking at a 20x return on that. Lords of Fortune, which controls the salvage rights, we have 25,000 convertible notes minimum for that. That'll return, that can be converted, return about an 8.5 return on times return on investment. And then we also have a We Funder campaign, which is really just to build an audience. Anybody can chip in $100 just to follow the story and go along with it. We're going to be filming the recovery. That'll have about a 5x return. But we're going to market these coins. Every coin has a story. It has a ton of provenance to it. The Republic is a famous wreck. But with that, as cognizant of the time, I'll turn it over to Boss here to give us a little info about the type of tools that we're going to use.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm an international salvage expert, and I get called in whenever there's a complex problem in the marine or a wreck needs to be removed. And last year I was the salvage expert representing the insurance company that removed the Dali. That was the ship that hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. So I was overseeing the salvage operation for that particular environment. The techniques that we want to use, because the problem with the gold in the wreck is that it's not on the top, it's in the bottom. Because everybody at the top has access to the gold, you don't want that, so you're going to put it deep in the ship. But the decks have collapsed on top of each other like a sandwich, and we need to remove those decks to get to the gold. If we know where the gold is, we just need to recover it. And what we have done in cooperation with Resolve from Fort Lauderdale, which by the way was a salvage company that removed the Dali, came up with a plan and a method, and we have those guys down on a fixed price to remove the decks, so we have access to the gold, and we have the confirmation, the 100% confirmation. I think we pretty much have a 99% confirmation, and then we can get the gold out. That will be the second phase. So I know everybody here is looking for money, and you could actually say we have the money, we just need to bring it to the surface. And with that, I'll hand it back to Grant.
So just to look at these images right here, this area, which is highlighted in the corner, is actually between holds 5 and 6 in the stern section of the ship. Down below, about 5 collapsed decks. In the center line of the ship, we should find the ship's strong room. That was where they stored any major valuable, coin shipments, specie shipments, bar shipments, would be in the strong room of the vessel. Republic sank sitting upright, all the decks have collapsed. So we have our contract with Resolve Marine to clear out this entire section of the ship, basically on a no cure, no pay basis. They don't get to run an hourly rate, so they don't get paid unless we go and dig down through the bottom and we start pulling up gold, or we get to the keel, the very bottom of the ship, and there's nothing there. But I don't anticipate that. But that is our summer 2026 expedition. We're out here, obviously, we have about 2.5 million committed so far. To fulfill Resolve's contract, we need about 8.5. And then once we hit gold, it's gonna require multiple seasons to bring it up. So we will debt finance any remaining recovery based on the collateral of the gold itself, which at today's melt values, if we are correct in the 25.8 million 1909 value, you're looking at around $4 to $5 billion. So yeah, it's a huge ship, a huge project, a major legacy, and this is one of those obituary-worthy investments. You know, this is an active participation. You come on the ship, we're gonna do another docu-series most likely. There's some film opportunity there too, so you know, we're really excited about it. And happy to take any questions you guys have.
How did you get the rights to this gold? And secondly, are you anticipating getting any of the first class passenger baggage back as well?
Sure, so to get the rights, early on you will take, if no one has any open court case on a shipwreck, you take a piece of the wreck, you bring it into a court in some jurisdiction, and it's actually in international waters. So, you know, my father found the ship, brought it into federal court in Boston, was granted salvage rights for a period of time. Those expire. We moved for ownership. We were awarded ownership in 2011. So we own legal title to the wreck, all the cargoes, and also all future claims are barred. So we have green lights all the way as far as that. As far as the baggage, we can, along the way, look for interesting first-class cabins, but the real value here that warrants this is the major government cargoes. It's only 270 feet deep, which is shallow relatively. However, you know, there's strong currents, there's very low visibilities, and everything's completely collapsed and in disarray. So without this overhead technology, you wouldn't have any idea what you're looking at. It's just a jumbled mess. So we're heavily reliant on imaging and the ROVs providing the eyes and the hydraulic crane going down and basically taking chunks out of the wreck bit by bit all the way down. And also we have, no further questions, we have a booth. We're kind of tucked away back over. Again, we could talk about this for hours regarding the history, salvage technology, the backstory, the deal. We have a QR code at our booth which has a full investment packet of different opportunities. So we're here till we close down this evening. Happy to chat, swing on by. If nothing else, just to talk a little treasure, you know. Yeah, have a cocktail, bring them over. All right, thank you all.
Such an incredible story. I've been a coin collector my whole life, so what I wouldn't give to have a piece of that. I'm gonna grab the clicker from you, sir. Thank you so much. Very, very cool mission. All right, next up, we're gonna move to oil and gas. I'm gonna welcome Mark Bellino, the president and director of Pacifico Oil and Gas, to the stage. They're an asset-based oil and gas investment for a growing U.S. energy demand. Please give them a round of applause.